paid employees that handle the range distribution. They're supposed to check it and fill it.
Okay.
And I'll find out who was working on
Just
Sunday.
FYI.
It's a pretty
Well,
good.
They reacted and they filled it, but.
Yeah, it's a great moneymaker, and there's got to be a mechanical device that you can put in there that alerts the pro shop or somebody when it's
That's kind of what I thought.
less than 20%, you know, and then you proactively go out and fill it up. You
It
know?
doesn't have anything like that on it,
It
but
turns a red light on in the pro shop or something to let it know that it's low.
I'll ask Whitaker.
I can investigate something like
It
that.
didn't come with anything like that, but.
If you could look into that, Adam, that would be good. Thank you.
Do you know the quantity per bucket of balls per, like $10? What's the $10 quantity?
40, 80, 120. So it's 40 balls for $10, 80 balls for $20, and 120 balls for $30.
Seemed a bit low light when I went up there.
You didn't get 40 balls?
I don't know, it just seemed light. So first time I went, I just got a bucket, and it was like this many in there. It didn't seem like a lot of golf balls.
Well, it's set by the machine, so.
Yeah. I didn't want
That's
to
the way-
lower the price, but maybe increase the quantity of the balls might be.
Could have been a bigger bucket, still got the same amount, but had a bigger bucket.
No, it's a small bucket, because I was getting a small bucket, but it didn't, it was a quarter bucket. It just didn't seem like a lot of quantity for the amount of money that I paid, if that makes sense.
No, it doesn't, because it's supposed to have 40 balls. It's supposed to fill it to the top.
The small bucket?
The small bucket is supposed to be filled to the top.
Yeah.
All of them are supposed to be filled to the top.
Yeah, pretty much, like you put the small in, it fills to the top, you put the medium in, fills it to the top, and you put the bigger one in, it's basically to the top. It's set at 40, 80, 120.
Yeah,
That's what's supposed to come out of
Yeah,
it.
80 would be quite a bit for 20, yeah, that's good, okay.
Other than that, I mean, it's been very, very good. I mean, it's financially been a windfall, and, yeah.
It's well paid for itself.
We did have a guy come in and say he got 37 balls.
Well, to be fair, a couple of them probably cracked, but.
I gave him 3 more. Other than that, I don't have a lot going on, fully staffed, staff's doing well. Tyler's a registered PGA apprentice.
Nice.
Everything's going really good. We had a good season, and we're looking forward to a good summer season. I have a lot of people calling about getting events, and I think we're going to be extremely busy this summer too. So we'll move
And we're
forward.
closed Mondays except for Memorial Day.
Memorial Day and Labor Day.
John, when are you wearing?
Maybe about a day after Memorial Day.
Closed Memorial Day and Labor Day?
No, we're open.
Open
Oh,
Memorial Day.
okay, all.
So we'll
closed all
open,
of those.
we'll open on those Mondays, and then we'll, the day after Memorial Day, we do the first verification.
Are you going to work on the bridge?
Which one?
Ford?
We
Do
were,
you have anything with that?
I mean, we put some plywood over it, or we
I don't know.
deck it? I didn't plan on it while we were closed, no, we got other things going on.
Okay,
Just
well, we'll
closed.
talk about it.
It is pretty rough.
Yeah.
Rougher than night in jail, huh? That's what I said, we could probably deck some plywood over it, or, I had a company come out, Creekside Construction, he came out and looked to put the ADS pipe and make it a land bridge instead of having that bridge. He hasn't gotten back to me, that was been a couple of weeks now, I think about it, and while we were talking, we were already looking at about 100, 150 grand.
To do a land bridge?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I know.
No.
So I was like, maybe he saw my lack of interest after these numbers started flying out. I was like, yeah, I don't think that's going to be happening.
Well, let's just take a look at it, because it is a little rough.
No, okay.
The first, Rodney Cole from the architect will be here in town this Thursday. He just let me know today. He planned on coming the week after, but I guess he had death in the family, so he's going to come this Thursday, and he'll be here till Sunday. So if we want to get together for a ride around,
Sounds good.
Yes.
that's all I really have.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Tony, you're on. Development order for,
Yes, I was provided, let's say, a draft set of deed restrictions for the property along Culture where Mr. Shoppy and his group are proposing to do storage facilities now, and his representation, he and his engineer were that they would remove or prohibit gas stations and convenience stores. So their attorney sent me their standard form documents, which I didn't think they'd be this expensive. So as a result, I had to make significant changes to them. I'll just walk you through, not every little comma, semicolon, or period.
Chuck, Tom, can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Do you fall asleep reading this stuff? I'm just asking.
He lives for this stuff. I would.
Believe it or not, it can be interesting.
Okay, very good. Well, I'm glad you find interesting. Continue.
Chuck sees financial statements in his dreams, and I see deed restrictions.
Yeah, okay.
I see zoning, land use,
Okay.
sunshine law, public record. Yeah, those are the...
Well, thank you. I'm glad you do.
Those are the Mario Brother themes that I see.
Okay.
But and part of what I was trying to do is to make sure that the covenant set forth that the district does have a seat at the table. That's why you'll see in the third whereas, part of it is not just to protect the value of the property in its development, which is just going to be an exhibit, which is going to be this property up front, but it's to preserve, protect, and enhance the values of property owned or controlled by the district and the values of property in the district. So that's why the red line is in that third paragraph, to sort of set the table why the district is at the table. And then again, throughout now therefore, again, it's in favor of the owners of the property and in favor of the Stony Brook Community Development District. That's an important consideration as far as certain aspects of it. Then we can go all the way over to page 4, at the bottom of the red line version. And the withdrawal, that section there was, and it's not unusual, these are typical deed restrictions where the developer reserves a lot of flexibility in the development. Even though it's a small parcel, these are standard covenants for like large developments, actually. Typically, the declarant, the developer, reserves the right to add land, withdraw lands, and not be subject to the covenants. And so that's why the initial draft had that the developer, declarant, whoever the next buyer is, can amend the declaration at any time without the consent of anybody to remove land. And so I said, other than the district, that's why that's in there. Then at the bottom also, any withdrawal of land shall require the written approval of the board of supervisors of the district. And it's changed to which approval may be withheld in the sole discretion of the district. And the reason for that is what one giveth, one can take away. So they're giving us the prohibitions, but if they withdraw land, then that land is no longer subject to this covenant, therefore it's no longer subject to the prohibition. And I have an email from yesterday where they agreed to the word "sole" to be in there.
Okay.
The paragraph, Article 3 on page 4, again, just says, hey, we also have enforcement rights. So the association has enforcement rights, as does the district. Then we go all the way over to the general use. We can go all the way over to prohibited uses, which begins on page 8, in section 5.4. And if I had following uses are expressly prohibited within, in, on, or upon. And then we go on to the next page, page 9. I mean, a number of businesses were already listed as being prohibited. We got just to make sure we added car wash, including automated or self-service automobile, or car wash, sale and dispensing of fuels, convenience store, convenience food and beverage store. And some of these terms were taken from language that's in the village land development code. So it's, and others were taken just from the standard sort of utilization. And then it goes on, it's important, the next paragraph, it says the district is entitled to and has the right to enforce, and there's a couple of double words in here, provisions of the Article 5, we have the enforcement rights. If the developer doesn't, if owners don't, we do. And again, the last portion of that middle paragraph on page 9 says, any right of amendment, none of the provisions above in section 5.4 can be amended or deleted or altered without the express written approval of the district. Again, that list above can't change unless the district specifically approves that in writing.
Okay.
And there are a number of grammatical and scrivener's items that I need to clean up. And that's pretty much it until you get further on. I just added on page 12 all construction activities performed in compliance with this declaration and laws. And then conveyance and use, that's on page 7.1. Again, any deeds are subject to this declaration. And then going on to page 17, reiterating in section 9.1, the district has the right and power to enforce the general covenants and use restrictions in Article 5, including but not limited to section 5.4. So we have all of Article 5. And then the district, again, 9.2, has the power to enforce the provisions of this covenant. And then we go to page 18. This is rehashing it's a repeat of basically 9.3 as to what type of lawsuit can be brought. The district can file any lawsuit against the association, a member, any occupant, anybody that's using the property to enforce the covenant to make sure that it's being complied with. Rights of mortgagees, that's the requirement. Then we go all the way to page 21 of the duration. And again, for a period of 99 years, again reiterating it's inures to the benefit of and enforceable by the association declaring the district. Again, just reiterating that. Termination. Again, this language says that, as originally drafted, that the declarant can terminate the covenants at any time. The restrictions, I said, other than the general covenants and use restrictions, including prohibitions, and the rights of the district. None of those can be terminated. So that even if all of the provisions of this document are terminated, any rights involving the enforcement rights of the district and the prohibitions of uses cannot be terminated. And again, paragraph 14.3, any amendment that materially and adversely affects the rights of the district or the general use covenants and restrictions and the prohibitions cannot be, aren't effective without the district's written approval. 14.7, reiterating the same theme. And then as far as any notices, this goes to the district. We have to register with the Department of Economic Opportunity, a registered agent. And 15.9 is very important. There's a recent case law that's very interesting. There was a dispute about what language in an association documents meant. And there's a big dispute between an owner and the association as to the provisions of the declaration. So counsel retained by the association rendered an opinion that the rule and regulation was not wholly unreasonable. And the court said, well, you've got language in your covenants that say, written opinion written by the association legal counsel that an interpretation adopted by the board is not wholly unreasonable. It conclusively establishes the validity of said interpretation. So, Mr. Owner, you cannot challenge the interpretation. You cannot challenge the interpretation of the regulation. So that's why I said, except as to the district, so that any interpretation rendered by them is not applicable to the district. That's an interesting sentence. That particular ability to have an interpretation be conclusive. Like I said, in going through this, there are some other little scrivener's errors and glitches I need to correct. Any comments or suggestions about the board of standing provisions to be added, subtracted, or otherwise?
Tony, I'm going with you. I think we're fine with this. I think we need to go ahead and approve it and get this done.
Yeah, what I would suggest is that if the board is so inclined to approve this draft with corrections, and if I go through another look, see if I see anything else that I believe is appropriate to change, I'll consult the manager and the chair. Otherwise, approve these in substantially final form to send to the developer. And if the board then wants to, as a second motion would be to authorize signing of this application, but we'd have to add in there subject to, recording of covenants and restrictions substantially in this form, so that when the village gets this, they also get this.
Okay.
That's what I would suggest.
That's the motion.
Second.
Any questions or comments?
Yeah, I have one question.
Yes.
So like right now, we have authority on the parcel of land, and am I right in thinking we're changing that over, or removing that and putting it in this document, which is with the developer or the existing owner of the land in this document would then become transferable to any future owner?
We don't have any control over the land itself.
Okay.
We have control over the district's land, which is the road and the district's water management to the south.
Okay.
This is the parcel land that's owned by the developer, and this gives the district, this limits the types of uses, prohibits gas stations, convenience stores, and gives the district enforcement rights as to those provisions. We don't care about the rest of it.
Okay.
I mean,
Right.
we're not involved in architectural review, we're not involved,
Yep.
that's up to the village. That's my understanding of the approach.
Yes.
Colors, themes, architectural standards, construction techniques, those are all village issues, but prohibiting gas stations, convenience stores is in the...
Yeah, the list of 18 that is in there.
Yeah, this runs with the land and binding on anybody that buys land.
Okay.
And again, any owner, tenant, any guest. And again, provisions dealing with the prohibitions and dealing with the district's rights to enforce that cannot be altered, amended, or removed without the district's express written.
And that's in perpetuity, so like this
Well-
guy develops it and then sells it, then what happens?
It's not really, it's just for 99 years. There's some case law out there about sometimes you have to reestablish the covenants.
Yep.
You've read about Disney World, what they did. It's
Yeah.
interesting. The agreement between Disney and the outgoing board before the new board sat was that those covenants will last until the last heir of King Charles of England attains his 21st, the death of the last heir, or something like that, King Charles. They're trying to avoid what's called, I'm not going to get into it, rule against perpetuity. You say that in front of most attorneys, they will pass out or reverse it.
Yeah.
But that, the intent is just 99 years, but realistically, usually 30, then they try to get renewed, so.
They still talking about all these and storage?
The storage unit is on the far
I know,
side. and
but are they still
that's-
talking,
That's been approved by the village, and that's,
has all these been approved?
I think he's still in
Negotiations.
negotiations with all this.
I would love to know what he's putting in before I say yes.
Yeah, I don't think you can do that, but what you can do is look at the list of 18 and see what's going to be excluded.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that's what I was wondering, what's the definition of a convenience food and beverage store?
They have definitions in the land development code.
And Aldi's is not considered a convenience store, although it's convenient to get back there, it's a grocery store. Now, my only question, well, that's, I mean, we really can't wait, I mean, they cannot pursue anything until this is signed, but they've relinquished the fact that they'll put a gas station, a car wash, a convenience store. Convenience store is more like a 7-Eleven, a Wawa's, those things. So, and I have to be honest with you, and he owns the property, but I have to believe in good faith he's trying to do what's best for
Agreed.
us and for the community. I really do, and I've had some discussions with him. And the fact that he backed off of that and lost money bailing out with 7-Eleven. And going through this, I think we should go ahead and approve this, and,
Is there any restriction under section 5.4, Tony, with like businesses staying open 24 hours or anything?
but if it's a grocery store, I mean, I know Walmart does, but I don't believe any, Aldi's is open 24 hours a day. I mean, I have to be
I would
honest.
think the storage unit's probably open 24/7.
Right.
Access
You
it.
can access that, but again,
Yeah.
that's not at our back door,
Right,
that's at the
right,
far end. of the
right.
They're not open 24/7. I have one.
Yeah.
So,
That's right, you find the definition.
Yeah.
okay. Tony, while you're looking at that, I would like to go ahead and approve this, and Tony, do your changes, and have it go by Chuck and myself, and I'll sign it, and we can move on.
Agreed. Got a motion and a second.
All in favor?
Aye.
No,
Opposed?
me.
Okay, so we have 4 yeses and 1 no.
I'll keep looking for
Against, so,
clear definition.
I don't care.
okay.
I want it on record, in case they put something in it we don't like.
Well, and I will be honest with you, Phil, no matter what they put there,
It's not going to be
somebody's not
like.
gonna like it.
Agreed. Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
I think the list of
Unless we
18,
wanna
as
buy
I spend the time reading the list of 18, and that's where my focus was. And I thought that was very comprehensive.
Yes.
Tony, job well done on that.
Yeah, so,
Yeah, I appreciate them putting it in there. Again, I'll look, to the question about expanding on the definition of convenience store, what sort of something in the industry developed. What we might want to give as an example, maybe just say convenience stores as defined by the ordinance narrow.
okay.
It's fine.
That might be the way to address that issue.
So Tony, we have a 4-to-1 vote, so we can go ahead and finish this up and I can sign it. Move on with it. So. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, the early payoff of the bond,
Cash balance was, what, $995,000 as of Friday?
9:45 as of last Friday, and it was $145,000 over same time last year. So
How much last year, over?
we're $145,000 over same time last year. So I guess it's up to the board. I think we should try and make another payment and bring this in. It's due in 28, so we have one, so that brings it down to 27. If we make a payment, that can bring it down to 26. And that's when we're looking to do the golf course, so,
We're gonna have a water.
yeah, well, that'll get paid off like Ron paid it off. So, any more discussion on prepaying the bond?
So what is being proposed exactly? I mean, I know,
Making it one additional payment to the bond to reduce. Now, do we just, and again, this is, it doesn't change the interest rate or anything for the payments, does it?
Yeah, you're just accelerating a
just
principal payment.
accelerating.
Right, so do we just put this money aside and can we move it to another account and just leave that? I don't know, I'm not sure what we want to do.
So it's up to you all. I mean, we've got a payment date coming up, so if you want to make an additional principal payment, you can certainly do that.
What's the additional principal payment? How much?
why is this not in here? Isn't it typically in here?
Yeah.
Or the resident bond is here, but I don't, am I missing it?
No, it's not here. What is it, like 192?
Yeah, so
Yeah,
the total,
182? Is that it?
Is this the special revenue fund, 192,388?
Yeah.
so the total remaining is $935,000 according to page 13 of the financials.
This is what, 5 years?
Well, and then there's one back already,
Right, one in reserve, right?
one in reserve. So if you wanted to put it in reserve or make the payment, I mean, that's more Chuck's end than mine, I don't know.
Well, I think if we had the money, you'd make the payment.
Yeah,
It's
you're
not
not,
save us
you
interest.
won't get credit for it.
Is it gonna save us interest?
I mean, sitting in reserve
It's
doesn't.
over time.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not going to save us on the interest rate.
Whatever works best.
I would think that we should go ahead and make a payment.
If it saves money, yes.
I mean,
Yeah.
I thought we were just buying time, but if it's going to save us money and time, let's do it.
Yes.
That saves you the interest on that principal.
Yeah. So
what about, and so if we want to do that, but also going forward, I mean, do we have the option of making multiple payments during a year as opposed to making two? Because that also, in theory, would save, just as you can do it on your own mortgage.
Yeah, I mean, your payments are limited. You don't make a payment in between. What you'd end up doing is saying, I want to pay, call it $75,000 in outstanding principal, well, we would accrue the interest to that
to the next payment date, and then it's a prepayment account until that payment date.
So we would need to make the payment on the payment date, so we could do the additional payment. Well, I'd like to make a motion to make the additional principal payment when we make our next payment, which is
May 1 is
May
coming.
1,
Yeah,
Second.
next week. How much cash do we have right now?
$995,000,
And where we were last year?
145 over last year.
So we're basically
Puts us at
Yeah, at least raking, or
Yeah, taking the cash. Yeah.
And where are we on the other one? That's at a higher rate,
That is the highest rate.
is it?
Because the bunker renovation was
Yeah,
much
that's what
lower.
I'm thinking of.
That
Hey,
was much
one more payment, $64,796.
Yeah, and then we're done with the bunker now, so, and that was a lower rate, so I would say, let's make this payment,
That's true, the bond's at 7.
yeah.
Right.
So, I have a motion and a
I second
second.
it.
All those in favor of making the additional payment on May 1st?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, Chuck, we're going to make the additional payment. Okay, thank you.
Madam Chairman, may I just go back briefly?
Yes.
To the question. Good question. I found the definition in the Village of Estero's land development regulations. As noted, I can insert that in at 18, that convenience store is defined by the Village of Estero land development regulations. And in convenience store in the land development regulations for the village, a store that specializes in the sale of convenience products and other commodities intended primarily to serve the day-to-day needs of residents in the immediate neighborhood or the traveling public, and which is typically or generally open to the public beyond the normal sale hours of other retail stores. And then convenience stores may allow gas sales when the use is specifically included in the table for the relevant zoning district. Gas sales are included. So I think that definition is what's utilized by the village. And I can, again, I'll just reference as defined by the Village of Estero.
Okay. Thank you. Very good. Okay. So we make the extra payment. Okay, the rules and regulations.
Lisa, do you want to do that? I made just a few minor edits, I guess, and then Lisa said one was left out, I guess, and I'm sorry. I don't know what happened to it. I don't know if Lisa, Madam Chair, I think it's Lisa.
Well, I did send these two copies and they accepted them, they initialed them, so everything seems to be okay. I know that Tony had made just a couple additions to add the word patio more frequently.
Was the fire pit language
And
including
then
what
the
you
fire
said?
pit, yeah, we left out, I don't know how we skipped it, but I did put it back in about the fire pit and furniture, that they're to provide those at their expense, we're to approve them, and then also that if there is a fire pit, that they are responsible and liable and they are to maintain it.
And they approved that. Okay. And I think these are good rules and regulations.
So we can add this to the amendment, or is it just out by
It's a
itself?
standalone document that once we hand it to them, that it's in effect.
That's great.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Lisa. Thanks, Tony.
One question I had about them is it does talk on 2 and 3 about providing written approval. I mean, I know they have some of this stuff. Do we have that? Written approval from landlord for displays, for television equipment, stuff like that? Do we?
At this time, you don't have anything in writing.
I just noticed it because I'm like, well, they definitely have this, but do we have it in writing? Do we have to have it in writing now that it's part of the rules and
Well,
regulations?
I think if they change it at some point, what they have already had, but if they do change it,
So if they
or
decide-
add loudspeakers or add stuff, that you need to be aware of that. And then if they put certain posters out there that, I mean, I think you need to know what they're advertising and approve that, but.
Or if they put another huge screen TV or something.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm okay with that. That what they have, they have. And that's how we took it over in that, and from this point forward.
And the only other thing I had was on 6. Do we need to have a maintenance schedule just to make sure that the patio stays in?
I'd say that they're required to do that, so if they're remiss, I know Lisa's very observant, Jeff and John also, I'm sure the community will let all of us know if it's not in good condition, so we can tell them. report to Lisa, and then she can get a hold of
Well,
it.
you survey the building
Oh, yeah.
once a month.
At least every other week.
Right.
And I would check that patio all the time. And we had the pavers sealed.
Yes.
So hopefully it'll be a little bit easier for them to maintain and clean.
Yeah.
But they are very well aware that that's theirs to keep.
Maintain. And I think that's good. I mean, Lisa's come to us with to trim these things and do that, so she's very diligent with that, so I think we're okay with that.
Lisa, what's the maintenance on that seal? Is that twice a year, once a year typically?
I don't know that it's a repeat. It may have.
Oh, one and done.
They didn't mention that, but I will check on that. It's like the water soluble, so it kind of stays in the brick.
Oh, ceiling pavers? I don't think it lasts more than like 3 years.
Yeah, I think I would
I would think that it would have to be redone.
Yeah, it's not.
Down the road, yeah. So we'll see. We'll see how it looks, and if we
I'll
decide.
check with Master Z and see what they say about that.
Thank you. Okay. So you can tell them we're okay with that. Okay.
Lisa, did they mention anything about awnings, what their ideas are?
They have not.
They're just doing the umbrellas right now.
Yeah, I think so.
I think this, quite honestly, as much as they wanted it, I think they were surprised it happened so quickly.
Yeah, me too.
And I don't think they were budget-wise ready
Yeah.
to do all this. So what they've done, I think, is great. And I'm sure that as things go on, it will
Yeah, they've
get.
been very busy on that.
It's been utilized.
Yeah, it
Yep.
has.
Yep, been up there a couple of times, it's hopping. So,
And what's nice is anything over $2 million, we get 5%. So.
That is a good thing.
Yes, it is. So.
But they did put the fire pit out, kind of in a corner. So,
And it's electric.
and it-
I
yeah.
don't know where they're gonna get power unless they run a cord over
I
top.
know, I noticed that too. So we'll have to see how they get that set up.
Okay.
I thought it was gonna be like a standalone little gas bottle or something. I didn't know, but that's not, when we had to move them, I noticed that.
I thought it was just gas.
I thought they were doing gas too, but it's a cool lounge area either way.
Yeah.
You can put your drink on.
Yeah, it's pretty.
Okay. Discussion of Kershaw and Duffy's bids. This was for. Lisa?
I did reach out to a couple more players for the parking lot lights, and it's just been, electricians are just crazy busy. Bentley is still the lowest at 9,000. They did do some temporary repairs, I think we talked about last time. But I think, as soon as I get those other bids, both of them have been contacted, sent them plans a couple, 3 weeks ago, whatever, keep bugging them. So as soon as I get those, I can add to the list, but I just highlighted who was the lowest right now.
So,
If you want to wait a couple weeks or another week, and then hopefully we'll have all these done, and you can pull the trigger on what you want.
well, Jeff, you've worked with Bentley. Bentley did the,
Yeah, they're good.
They're great.
my personal opinion is I'd rather get this done sooner than later. We've worked with Bentley. Bentley has been very good. Any opinion from the other board members?
I just want to make sure the lights are not so tall that they're restricted by the lights or by the trees and the regrowth, because it seems like everything that we're doing right now is to like reduce the amount of like maintenance and stuff. So if we put tall ones in and then got to continually cut the trees, we're right back where we were
Are we
before.
having a tree trimmer anytime soon before hurricanes, right?
Yeah, after the last meeting, I went out there with Brian and we saw, what we saw we could address back. I mean, like I said before, there's not much you want to chop the trees down, there's nothing more you can bring back. I mean, even where the lights are, nothing is touching around the lights, nothing.
It's just the county.
There's nothing growing under the lights where the light would cast a shadow once it hits it. I mean, we went to every single one and looked like, hey man, if there's anything around, and we did find some like what we call widowmaker, some little stuff. Hey, this looks ugly. A half cut off branch, clean that up.
Well, I guess what we need to do
Once again, I
is-
really don't know what more we could do as far as trimming stuff back. I'll gladly go out there with anybody, and if you could see anything that we could do that would help that, we would do it.
We can always add more heads, because there are several poles that just have one head, so we can always make those double.
What is the proposal here? Is it to put new poles up, or is it to?
No, this is just to replace the existing fixtures.
What
Okay.
about quads? Why can't you do quad heads?
We could do or more.
You know, do a quad head and have one of each, you know.
How tall, can't they lower them underneath the tree?
I mean, if you want new poles,
I mean, you can't retrofit current pole?
I don't think so.
I haven't looked at them close enough, but surely you could add something halfway down the pole.
Oh, you could put something,
Yeah, and have both. Just add a sconce halfway down underneath the tree.
Lisa, can you ask if they can do that? You know, retrofit all the lights and then do something halfway down? See what the cost of that would be?
I can see what's going to happen here. We're going to do this, and 3 years from now, we're going to say, hey, let's get rid of the trees.
I don't think we can we?
Well, and
We can?
You have to redo, that's when you redo the parking lot, because you have to put the trees back or
we
something.
have to replace all the trees. So no, the trees will be there. We don't have a choice with the
That's what I'm
trees.
saying,
Yeah.
So we need to work around what we have. And, you know, Lisa, see,
a lot of the shopping centers seem to be chopping down all their trees completely.
Yeah.
And, you know, even the poles, but the trees are gone.
In Lee County, you can get away with that. Here in the village, that's a different
you
story.
can't
Yeah, I
do it
think
here in
so,
the
too.
village. So
Village like that. Although, I don't know, he got it away with, at the Hertz Arena, chopped them all down, took them all.
Hoffman
Talking
money.
about that one. You also got away
That's
with
what he
painting yellow
promised he was
all
going
over.
to find
Yeah, we're gonna paint the building Hertz yellow.
Yeah, last I checked, that is not Mediterranean
So
yellow.
I'm thinking that there's some sort of collar that they can put around.
put around. See if they can do that.
All right, retrofit them differently.
Yes, but do,
Any option.
replace the lights so that they're brighter up top and
Right.
do something. Okay.
Right, that's the plan, but.
Thank you. And the painting,
Painting, still, they're all voting on the same specs. That's what I sent them. So right now, Northern is our lowest, Northern Contracting.
By a lot.
have you worked with them?
Let's do that.
Your opinion